You wake up in the morning, and the first thing you must understand is this: that very breath in your lungs is a mercy. You are not promised this day, and yet it has been given to you. Do not treat it lightly. The way you begin your morning is not a small matter. It reveals much about the posture of your heart. When you rise, do not stumble toward your phone. Do not let your mind be filled first with noise, with vanity, with the endless distractions of a world that is asleep in its own comfort. No, begin by humbling yourself before the one who gave you this day. There must be reverence in the morning. A man who rises and bows his heart in gratitude, who acknowledges his weakness and his dependence, that man walks in strength, not because of his own resolve, but because he understands his frailty. Before the sun breaks the horizon, Benjer will say, "I am not my own. I have been given this time, and I will not waste it." That is where success begins, not in ambition, but in surrender. Then discipline your body. The body that drags, the mind that drifts, they both betray a spirit that has forgotten its purpose. Rise early, not for pride's sake, not to boast that you are driven, but because you will not be mastered by laziness. Order your morning, because if you cannot govern the first hour of your day, how will you govern the rest of your life? Set your priorities. Let your thoughts be clear, your surroundings in order, your actions deliberate. Do not drift into the day, walk into it with intention. And when you work, work as one who has been entrusted with sacred duty. Even the smallest task, done with diligence and humility, carries weight. Do not waste your morning on empty pursuits, on the shallow things that promise comfort but produce decay. Fill your time with what strengthens you, read what sharpens your mind, listen to what convicts your heart, speak words that build and not destroy. There will be days when you do not feel like rising early, when the bed feels like mercy and effort feels like punishment. But you must remember, growth never happens in ease. The morning is a battlefield, and your habits are your weapons. If you conquer the morning, you will often conquer the day. But if the morning conquers you, you will find yourself chasing meaning that slips through your fingers. So stand firm. Begin each day with reverence, discipline, and gratitude. Do not waste what has been given. The man who masters his mornings will not be enslaved by the world. He will walk with purpose, not because he is great, but because he knows he serves something greater than himself. When the morning light breaks through the darkness, it is not simply another routine beginning. It is a sacred moment, a divine interruption in the long silence of the night. To awaken is to be granted something undeserved, another chance to walk, to breathe, to change, to live with purpose. Most people roll out of bed and rush into the noise of the world without pause, without thought, without gratitude. But to begin your morning with reverence and surrender is to recognize that you have been entrusted with something holy time. Each sunrise is not just the start of another day. It is a reminder that you have been spared once more, not for idleness, but for purpose. You must first understand that reverence is not merely a feeling of solemnity. It is a deep awareness of your dependence. When you open your eyes, the first thought that must rise in your heart is humility, the knowledge that you are not the master of your life, nor the author of your breath. The very air that fills your lungs is a gift, and every beat of your heart is a silent testimony that you are not self-sustaining. To begin your morning in reverence is to remember who you are and who you are not. It is to recognize that life is not a random accident, but a deliberate act of grace. When the alarm sounds and you feel the heaviness of your body, there will always be a voice that whispers, "Just a few more minutes." That voice is not harmless. It is the same voice that whispers compromise into every moment of your life. Reverence begins with obedience, the simple act of rising when you ought to rise, not because you feel strong, but because you have chosen to submit your will. to something greater than comfort. Your first victory of the day is not found in your achievements, but in your surrender. You rise because your time does not belong to you. You rise because you are accountable for the hours you are given. When you stand before the day, stand in silence for a moment. Do not rush for your phone or drown yourself in distractions. Stand and breathe. Feel the weight of the quiet. Let that silence speak. The world teaches you to fill every moment with sound, with movement, with busyness, but reverence begins in stillness. It is in the stillness that you begin to see clearly, that you begin to understand how small you are, and yet how significant your choices can be. The morning is not a race to productivity. It is a moment to align your heart with truth. Surrender means you do not begin your morning with self at the center. The self will always demand attention. It will call for comfort, for validation, for ease. But to surrender is to dethrone the self. It is to wake up and say, I am not here to please myself today. I am here to serve. That service may take the form of your work, your relationships, your responsibilities, but at its core, it is an offering. When you surrender in the morning, you lay down your plans and your anxieties before they even have a chance to rule you. You say, whatever today holds, I will face it not by my own strength, but with humility and trust. Many people speak of morning routines, exercise, reading, journaling, planning, and these are good and wise habits, but none of them have power without the right heart. Reverence transforms routine into worship. You can drink your water, stretch your muscles, make your bed, and still be hollow inside. You can organize your day and yet remain chaotic within. Reverence fills even the smallest act with meaning because it acknowledges the giver behind every gift. When you brush your teeth, when you make your coffee, when you sit quietly before the day, all of it can be sacred when done in gratitude. To begin your morning with reverence is to choose awareness over autopilot. It means you notice the light through your window, the sound of the world waking up, the warmth of the air, the rhythm of your breath. You notice and you give thanks. Gratitude is not merely a positive mindset. It is an act of rebellion against pride. The ungrateful heart says, I deserve this. The reverent heart whispers, I do not, and yet I have been given more than I can count. That awareness changes the tone of your day. Gratitude lifts the fog of self-pity and anchors your mind in truth. Surrender, then, is the natural outflow of reverence. Once you recognize that your life is a gift, you will see that it is not yours to control. You can plan your steps, but you cannot command the path. You can prepare your day, but you cannot predict its storms. The man who begins his morning in surrender does not live in fear of uncertainty because he has already yielded his will. He walks into the unknown not with arrogance, but with peace. There is freedom in surrender, not the freedom to do whatever you wish, but the freedom to stop fighting against what you cannot change. When you begin your day this way, you will notice something remarkable. The things that used to disturb you begin to lose their grip. You find patience where you once had anger. You find calm where you once had restlessness. You find strength where you once had weakness. Reverence brings perspective. It lifts your eyes from the trivial and fixes them on what truly matters. You realize that success is not found in the noise of achievement, but in the quiet faithfulness of each moment. You must learn to cultivate this reverence deliberately. It does not come naturally. The world will fight against it every day. It will tell you that your worth is measured by how much you accomplish before breakfast, that stillness is laziness, that surrender is weakness. But those who live by that lie spend their lives running toward shadows. Reverence is not passivity, it is focus. It is strength under control. It is the calm that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. If you truly want to begin your morning with reverence and surrender, you must learn to create sacred space. It may be a few minutes before anyone else wakes. It may be in the quiet corner of your room, or as you walk outside under the early sky. Do not let that time be invaded by distraction. Put away the screens. Let your mind breathe. Read something that lifts your thoughts above yourself, something that challenges, that convicts, that refines. Speak words of gratitude. Reflect on your purpose. Let your heart be quiet enough to listen. You must also guard your first words of the day. What you say shapes your direction. The murmuring heart begins the day defeated. The grateful heart begins it victorious. Do not speak complaint as your first breath. Do not curse the alarm, the workload, the responsibilities. Instead, declare gratitude. Even if it is through weary lips, say, I am thankful for this day. I will not waste it. The words you speak in the first hour of your day can echo into the last. It is also wise to set your intentions in surrender. You may have plans, goals, and ambitions. These are good. But hold them with open hands. Say, if they are to be accomplished, they will be, but I will not be ruled by them. The one who begins his day surrendered does not crumble when things do not go his way. He has already laid down his right to control. When interruptions come, and they will, he receives them not as inconveniences, but as part of a greater design. To live this way requires consistency. Reverence is not a switch to flip. It is a seed to cultivate. Each morning you water it through discipline, through silence, through gratitude. Some days it will feel dry. You will wake up weary, distracted, perhaps even numb. But that is when reverence is most powerful. To bow your heart in gratitude when you do not feel thankful. To surrender your will when everything in you resists, that is where character is forged. That is where strength is born. Remember this: the morning sets the tone for your entire day, but more than that, it sets the tone for your life. If you learn to begin each day in humility and awareness, you will walk through your days with steadiness. The storms will come, but you will not be easily shaken. The noise will rise, but you will know how to find silence within. Reverence anchors you in what is eternal. It keeps you from drifting into the emptiness of routine and ambition without meaning. There are countless voices in the world telling you how to start your day, how to hack your productivity, how to win your morning, to win your life. But the truth is simpler and deeper. Success is not born from technique. It is born from surrender. Reverence is the soil in which true excellence grows. The man who bows before the day begins will stand taller through its trials. So when you wake tomorrow, do not rush. Sit for a moment in the stillness. Feel the air, the heartbeat, the quiet. Let your first thought be gratitude. Let your first act be surrender. Speak quietly to yourself, reminding your heart that you are here for something greater than comfort, greater than routine, greater than self. Do not treat the morning as common, for it is not. It is sacred. Each dawn is a new mercy, a chance to begin again, a reminder that you are alive not by right but by grace. And if you live that way, if every morning begins with reverence and surrender, your days will carry a strength that cannot be explained by mere discipline. You will walk through chaos with calm, through success with humility, through struggle with hope. The world will not understand it, for they will see only a person rising early, sitting quietly, perhaps whispering words of thanks. But within you there will be peace, and that peace, born in the quiet hours of morning surrender, will sustain you through everything that comes after. Discipline is not a word people love to hear. It sounds hard, uncomfortable, and restricting. But if you study the lives of those who have achieved anything of lasting worth, you will find that discipline was not their enemy, it was their ally. It is the quiet strength behind every great life. It is not passion that sustains a man. Passion is fleeting. It burns bright, but fades quickly. Discipline, however, is the slow fire that refines the soul. It keeps you moving when excitement dies, when emotion fails, when fatigue whispers its excuses. The disciplined person rises not because he feels inspired, but because he has trained his will to obey what he knows is right. In the modern world, people chase motivation. They want to feel good before they act. They want to be moved before they move, but life does not wait for feelings. Success does not bow to emotion. The man who waits to feel ready will spend his entire life waiting. Discipline is what takes the place of emotion when emotion disappears. It says, I will do what must be done, not because I feel like it, but because I have chosen to. Discipline is not about punishment. It is about alignment, aligning your actions with your purpose, even when your feelings rebel against it. When you rise in the morning, your first challenge is not the work ahead, but the battle within. The body desires ease, the mind seeks comfort, and the heart resists effort. Discipline steps in and declares, you are not ruled by these impulses. Each time you act with discipline, you strengthen the will. Each time you surrender to laziness or distraction, you weaken it. And this is not just about external success, it is about integrity. The one who cannot master his impulses cannot be trusted to master anything else. Discipline is the proof of character. It is the visible expression of internal strength. Intentional action is the companion of discipline. They walk hand in hand. Discipline without intention becomes mindless routine. Intention without discipline becomes wishful thinking. Intentional action means you do not drift through your day, you move with clarity and purpose. Every choice, every step, every word is guided by understanding. It is the difference between living reactively and living deliberately. The disciplined person rises early, not merely to be productive, but because he knows that how he spends his hours determines the quality of his life. The intentional person examines his actions and asks, does this bring me closer to the person I am called to become? The tragedy of our age is that people are busy but directionless. They fill their schedules but lack focus. They mistake activity for progress. They live on autopilot, running from one thing to the next, but never asking why. Intentional action breaks that cycle. It forces you to slow down, to think, to plan, to act with wisdom. To live intentionally is to understand that time is precious and every decision has weight. You begin to guard your attention, your habits, your company. You stop giving your energy to what drains you and start investing it in what builds you. Success is not an accident. It is not something that happens to you. It is something you build, moment by moment, through disciplined and intentional living. The one who waits for luck, for opportunity, for the perfect condition, will always be waiting. Opportunity bows to preparation, and preparation is born from discipline. Intentional action ensures that when the door opens, you are ready to walk through it. You cannot harvest what you have not planted, and you cannot plant without labor. Every act of discipline is a seed. You may not see its fruit today, or tomorrow, or even in a year, but it will come. Every time you choose focus over distraction, every time you say no to what is easy so that you may say yes to what is right, you are building something that cannot be seen by others, the inner structure of success. The undisciplined man is like a house built on sand. His efforts may look impressive from the outside, but when pressure comes, when adversity strikes, his foundation collapses. The disciplined man, though his progress seems slow, stands firm. His consistency becomes his strength. But discipline is not about perfection. It is not a rigid system of self-punishment. It is about progress, slow, steady, faithful progress. There will be days when you stumble, when you fall short of your own standards. But discipline teaches you to rise again without self-pity. It trains you to treat failure not as defeat, but as instruction. The disciplined life is not a flawless life, it is a persistent one. Success belongs to those who are willing to repeat the small, unseen, uncomfortable actions long after the excitement fades. The man of discipline understands that comfort is the enemy of growth. Comfort whispers, "You've done enough." It tells you to slow down, to relax, to wait. But discipline whispers something else. There is still work to be done. Every great achievement demands discomfort. Muscles grow only through tension. Wisdom comes only through struggle. The disciplined person embraces this truth. He does not seek hardship for its own sake, but he does not run from it either. He knows that the fire that refines also strengthens. Intentional action adds depth to discipline. It keeps you from becoming mechanical. It reminds you that discipline is not an end but a means. You do not wake early, work hard, or push yourself just to prove your worth. You do these things because they move you towards something greater. Intention gives discipline its meaning. Without it, discipline can become pride, a self-centered pursuit of control. But with intention, it becomes purpose, driven a tool to shape your life in alignment with what truly matters. Every morning, ask yourself not only, "What must I do today?" but "Why must I do it?" That question changes everything. It transforms obligation into conviction. When you know why you rise early, why you read, why you train, why you work, discipline becomes lighter. It becomes a choice born from clarity, not compulsion. You begin to see that the effort is not wasted, that each disciplined act carries you forward, even if only by inches. Many people start strong but finish weak, because they mistake enthusiasm for discipline. Enthusiasm starts the race, discipline finishes it. Success is not found in bursts of energy, but in the quiet repetition of good habits. It is built in the unseen hours when no one is watching, when no praise is given, when quitting would be easier. That is where character is forged. The man who learns to master those hidden moments becomes unshakable in public ones. You must learn to treat your time with reverence. Every hour misused is an opportunity lost forever. Discipline demands that you take inventory of your days. Ask yourself how much of your life is spent on things that truly matter. How much of your energy is wasted on distraction, on trivial pursuits, on conversations that add nothing to your purpose. The disciplined and intentional person guards his time as a warrior guards his weapon. He knows that time is his most precious resource, and once spent, it cannot be regained. It takes courage to live this way. Discipline and intention are acts of defiance against the culture of comfort and distraction. The world celebrates ease, entertainment, and instant gratification. It mocks diligence and patience. It tells you to live in the moment, but what it really means is waste your moments. Discipline teaches you to delay gratification, to work now for what you will reap later. Intention reminds you that every sacrifice has meaning. The disciplined person may appear rigid to the world, but in truth, he is the freest of all, for he is not enslaved by impulse. Success is shaped not by grand decisions, but by small, daily choices. The decision to wake when you said you would. The decision to finish what you started. The decision to do the hard thing instead of the easy one. These choices may seem insignificant in isolation, but together they build a life of strength and integrity. The undisciplined person seeks shortcuts. The disciplined one builds step by step. There is no shortcut to excellence, there is only endurance. There will be seasons when discipline feels like drudgery. You will question if the effort is worth it. You will wonder if anyone sees, if anyone cares, if the slow grind of consistency is accomplishing anything. In those moments, remember this. Discipline is not for applause. It is not for recognition. It is for transformation. The process is the purpose. Every disciplined act changes you from the inside out. Each intentional choice sharpens your focus, clarifies your vision, and strengthens your resolve. Intentional living also means you take ownership of your path. You stop blaming circumstances, luck, or other people for your results. Discipline teaches you that control begins with yourself. You cannot govern the world, but you can govern your actions. You cannot dictate outcomes, but you can determine effort. That understanding gives you power. It removes the excuses that keep most people stuck. Success, then, becomes a matter of stewardship, managing your time, your energy, your focus with wisdom and accountability. To live with discipline and intention is not to live without joy. In fact, it is the opposite. There is joy in mastery. There is fulfillment in consistency. There is peace in knowing that you are not wasting your life in distraction or regret. Pleasure may fade quickly, but the satisfaction of a disciplined life endures. It deepens with time because it is built on purpose, not impulse. Discipline requires that you say no not only to bad things, but often to good things that do not serve your purpose. Every yes must be protected by 1,000 no's. You cannot do everything. You must choose what aligns with your mission and release what does not. This kind of focus is rare, but it is what separates the excellent from the average. The undisciplined person spreads himself thin, chasing every opportunity, while the disciplined one concentrates his energy on what truly matters. You will not always feel like acting intentionally. There will be mornings when you are tired, afternoons when motivation fades, evenings when you would rather escape into comfort. In those moments, discipline becomes your compass. It directs you back to what you have committed to. It reminds you that feelings are fickle, but purpose is not. You act not because it is easy, but because it is right. And in doing so, you train your soul to endure. If you look closely at anyone who has built something meaningful, whether it be a business, a skill, a relationship, or a legacy, you will find the same thread: daily discipline and deliberate action. Their success was not the product of luck, nor of talent alone. It was the fruit of consistency, of doing what others would not, of pressing forward when others stopped. They understood that greatness is not achieved in a moment of glory, but in a lifetime of quiet persistence. Discipline and intentional action shape not only what you achieve, but who you become. The process of discipline molds the soul. It teaches patience, humility, endurance, and wisdom. It purifies your motives and reveals your true priorities. The one who learns to live this way does not simply accomplish more, he becomes more. He becomes grounded, focused, and unshaken by circumstances. His success is not fragile because it was built through struggle, forged through self-control, and sustained by purpose. And though the world may never fully understand the quiet, steady power of discipline and intentional living, its fruit speaks louder than words. It is seen in the peace of a life without regret, in the strength of character that stands firm in trials, and in the fulfillment of a purpose faithfully pursued through the years.